Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another riveting episode of One More with Danny Coleman. That's me. I'm Danny Coleman. We're coming to you live from Monmouth Music right here in beautiful downtown Red Bank, New Jersey. One More with Danny Coleman is sponsored by Monmouth Music and our great friend out there, Mario DiBartolo. Mario's a little under the weather, so he's kind of hanging out in the store. And he won't be joining us tonight, although we might drag him in here at some point. Right, Nash? Yeah. Right, Tom? Yeah, see? Tom's a strong silent type. We're also sponsored by Antoinette Boulangerie, the purveyors of these beautiful pastries. Look at them pastries. So
they're beautiful.
They're beautiful. They're exquisite. Thank you. They're exquisite. Nash agrees, see? And by the Downtown All-Stars of Red Bank, whose recent CD, Magic on the Navesink, is supporting the Red Bank Elks Lodge number 233 Veterans Charities Program. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that later on. But if there's anything at all you guys would like to see or hear on this program, email me, dcoleman.drice, D-R-I-C-E, dcoleman.drice @gmail.com. And we'll see what we can do about getting a program built around that for you. So, right, Nash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I love the communication we got tonight, Nash. We're locked, man, you and I. Like laser beams.
Remember, I'm the glue. Remember that?
You are the glue that holds us together, the self-professed god of flannel. Nash.
No, I'm not wearing flannel today.
Now, and this is all for the incredibly talented, and you saw it on Facebook, incredibly beautiful, right? They said you're incredibly beautiful.
That was very sweet.
And my friend, Soph. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, guys.
Now, Soph is a singer-songwriter
Yes, indeed.
who I've known since you were, what, like 2?
Yeah, just about.
Two?
Just about
Helen,
negative 2.
2. Actually, I met you when you were 15.
Yeah, 15.
15 years old. And your mom was bringing you to open mics.
Yes, she was.
And I remember Cook Smith, our friend Cook Smith. You gotta check this girl out. She's gonna be something someday. She's special. You gotta get her on your show.
It was very sweet of him.
And sure enough, you made your first of 375,216 appearances on Rock on Radio.
That's right. You got the number right this time.
Yes, this time I finally remembered it. But now you're different. You have matured from a 15-year-old girl into a 21-year-old artist.
Thank you.
And you had a little name change. You're now Soph.
Yes.
Which we can find you where?
Well, I have a website, which is just sophmusic.com. And Soph is spelled S-O-F. And I need to really pronounce the F when I say Soph, because I had a show where somebody thought my name was Soap. And they were like, "Oh my God, I loved you, Soap. Your songs were so cool." And I was like, "Sorry, what?" And they were like, "Soap, right?"
Soap.
I was like, "Oh no."
Well, there's a
okay,
question
so
now.
Soap with an F.
If you were Soap, what kind would you be?
Good question.
Or would you just lie around?
Oh.
Hi, call me Killer Nash. I slay me. Anyway. All right, so, yeah, Soph.
Yes, Soph. So sophmusic.com, and then you can find me everywhere else on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Soph Music Official, and the only thing that's different is my Twitter, because I couldn't get Soph Music. It was really upsetting. It's taken by somebody. I know, right? Could you believe it? I don't know. Somebody else named Soph Music. So you can find me at Soph_music, but that's the only one that's different.
Tom, we got to get on that. We got to find out who that is, bud.
Number one priority.
I tried tweeting them. And I didn't get a response, which, dastardly. I can't believe they didn't answer. Unbelievable.
Probably knew you wanted to take their Twitter handle.
Yeah. 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 Well, I even said in the message, I want to take your Twitter handle. And they did not respond. And it's been like a year.
So you blatantly made them an offer that they refused.
I mean, I should have made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Like, I should have said that I would bake them cookies or something, and maybe they would
Yeah,
have
speaking
said,
of which, didn't you like say you were going to bake anybody cookies who tuned in?
Yeah, it was like if you followed me on Spotify or if you tuned in, you'll get cookies. Which, I mean, I've never made cookies before, but you can't really go wrong, right?
No. Nestle Toll House, just cut them up and drop them on a cookie tray.
Mrs. Fields, I'll just buy a bunch.
That's all.
Nobody will know. Well,
Nobody
now they
will
will.
know the difference at all. Now, you've had a good couple of years, actually.
Yeah, feels like it.
You were, and we could talk about it now,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Because I had to sign all kind of waivers and cease and desist orders, pretend I didn't know Sophia if she made it this far, that far. But you actually spent a couple years ago, right? 6 weeks out in Los Angeles as part of The Voice.
Mm-hmm. It was actually 3 years ago, which I can't believe it's already been 3 years. Actually, I think it's 3 years to this day, too, which is wild. One of my friends that I met from my season actually posted about it today, that it's been 3 years since we all met, which is crazy. But yeah, I was selected for the top 100 for The Voice, and that was a really, really, really darn cool experience.
I'm sure.
I got to see a little bit of LA and
So how was that
people.
when you got out there? Because that's all kind of leading up to where you were last week.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I have wanted to move out to California for the longest time because I've heard amazing things about it, and I've just it's where the music is for people trying to make it. I mean, there's some music capitals of the world, like New York is one, and I know Atlanta has more of an R&B music scene, but Nashville. But California, I've just always wanted to go to because of the climate, and I've heard great things about it, and I went out the first time, and we were sequestered, so I really didn't get to see a lot of California, and I only really saw a few blocks of Burbank. But from what I did see, I really loved it, and I just went back last week, and I saw San Francisco, and I was staying in Ben Lomond in the mountains, and that was quite a sight.
San
really
Francisco's
beautiful.
a beautiful city,
Oh
isn't
my
it?
God, yeah. I was fortunate enough
Where'd
to be
you
able
go?
to drive around all of San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And just kind of see the city, just sightsee. We went to Twin Peaks, and I was in the center of the city.
Drive up Lombard Street? The Crooked Street?
Yeah. Oh my God. Crazy.
Everybody thinks the whole street's that way. It's only like one block. That's crooked.
there's a bunch of, the way that it is like it's a big climb. So as you just go up further and further, it's like these hills that you wouldn't think a vehicle would be able to drive on. And the whole time you're holding on to your seat like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But somehow these cars can move up the streets like that. It's ridiculous. I took some pictures, but it doesn't show up nearly as good on the pictures. But when you're there, you're like, oh my God, this is the weirdest and craziest thing I've ever seen.
I was on that street, and I had a 35 millimeter camera, and I had a 28 to 210 zoom lens. So it was about this long.
Yeah.
And I'm taking pictures, and this is the reason why I purchased one of those little things that goes around the lens and sticks to the cap, because I accidentally dropped the lens cap, and it landed on its edge and rolled down to one of them hills.
Oh, no. That's a nightmare. Well,
And it wouldn't
you'll never
stop.
find it. Yeah. The momentum lasts for years.
I'm telling you. But that's a beautiful city out there. So,
It's beautiful, yeah.
and you were doing what out there?
I was selected for a songwriting retreat, which is led by the former senior vice president of creative at Warner Chappell. Her name is Judy Stakey. And she's signed everybody from like Katy Perry to Gavin DeGraw to Sheryl Crow. And she has these songwriting retreats that she hosts. And I believe she started them this year. And she had 2 weeks out in California, but 2 separate groups for those 2 weeks. So last week, there were 20-something people. And then my week, there were, I think, 27. And we found out there were like over 200 applications, which was really cool. And I got picked with 27 people, or 26 other people, to come out and co-write and make some industry connections. And she had a yoga teacher that was there and a vocal coach. And she had a bunch of like different lectures and seminars about various points of the industry and things that we should keep in mind if we're looking for a publishing deal, and things we should keep in mind if we're looking for an artist deal at a label. and just offering up all of her kind of industry insight and helping us out, critiquing all of our original music, and sitting down with us and just hanging out and writing together. And we had food that was made for us that was delicious. There were these like master chefs that were there that were making amazing food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we had a full itinerary, and I didn't really have my phone on me all week, and I felt so bad because I had stuff I wanted to post about this trip in general, but also stuff on Facebook for my Sofa Music Monday, and I had to delay that until Saturday this weekend, and I couldn't film in California because the whole time I was there, I'd have like 30 minutes of break, and I would take that 30 minutes to shower or just like catch a breath.
Right.
And then we'd go right back into a co-write. And we had 3 co-writes that we had to do with 2 other people. And we were assigned different people for each co-write. And we would go into it, and we would start at 2 p.m. And Judy would say, you have 3 hours to write and finish this song and then have it ready to perform by 8 p.m. So we'd work from 2 until like 5:30. And then we would have an additional hour for her to do some more song critiques and talk to us about some industry stuff. And then after that, we would go off to dinner. And then dinner was like an hour. And then at 8 p.m., we would have to sing the songs in their completion. And I've never had to write a song in 3 hours before. I've written a song in 3 hours in the past, and I've written songs even faster than that. But to
So I recall you've written a song in like English class at one point when you were in high school.
Yeah, when I was in high school. And it's very easy when you already have the idea in your head and it's kind of formulating and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit down and write this song. And, you know, sometimes it can take like 15 minutes and then you're done because you just had this idea. But when you're assigned a prompt the day of with 2 other people that have very different ideas than you do, sitting down and being like, well, let's hash this out in 3 hours it's a lot. It's really insane.
Especially since you didn't know them from...
Yeah, we had just met there. And by the end of the week, all of us were super, super close. And we all have each other's phone numbers. And we want to do co-writes in the future. But it was cool because we would just bang it out in 3 hours.
One of the things that made me smile was last week, before you left, you put up a Facebook post that said, hey, any of my California friends, I'm going to be in Frisco for, you know, anybody want to meet me for lunch?
Yeah.
Ain't that cool that you've progressed enough where you've got friends in like different states
Yeah,
now? Where you can
that's
call up and say, hey,
true.
I'm coming to town. What do you want to do?
Yeah. It was cool. It was
I
really
actually
cool.
finally hit that point over the last couple of years where it's like I know somebody here, I know somebody there, I know my son's going to be in a triathlon. I made a phone call. I'm going to be crashing at somebody's
wow.
house for the
That's
weekend.
awesome.
And it's in Syracuse, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you get to that point from networking and meeting people and putting yourself out there that you can get that far.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And what's great too is that a lot of the people that I did meet from the retreat were originally from California and the Los Angeles area. So if I ever need to go back to Los Angeles, I have a place to stay.
Nice.
I have a friend who I met, one of my roommates there. She's from Vancouver. So if I'm ever in Canada and I am in the Vancouver area, we can have a little sleepover. It's
There you go.
cool.
Is that where she was from, Vancouver, or from
Yes,
that area?
from Vancouver.
So one of my favorite, one of my top 3 female singer-songwriters is a woman named Pauline Colonan, and she's from Kelowna, British Columbia.
Oh, wow.
Not that far from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a little bit of a ride, but out there. So, you know, and you begin to meet and see. Now you've got
network.
options. Now you're intercontinental. See, you're
There we go.
it's growing.
There was a girl I met there. Her name is Lucy Mason, and she was this super, super sweet and polite this singer-songwriter who I kind of checked out her Spotify beforehand, and I was listening, and I thought her music was so beautiful. And when she was there, she didn't talk about herself a whole lot. And then we found out through Facebook because she posted a status that on Monday, which is today, or today's Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. She is performing for the Queen at Buckingham Palace.
Nice gig if you can get it.
Yeah, not bad. She's from Australia, and she was talking about how, you know, all of a sudden her music kind of blew up on Spotify. She got very lucky, and her song got streamed, and it was on a Discover playlist, and a bunch of people started to hear it. And then she booked a gig at Buckingham Palace just singing for the Queen, and she didn't mention it. And then we had to find out through her Facebook, and the next day at breakfast I was like, hey Lucy, what's going on, girl? And she was like, oh, nothing. And I was like, what's happening? Like, I saw something about the Queen or something. And she was like, oh, what? I don't know. Ha ha ha. And it was like really shy about it. And I was like, girl, flaunt that. That's amazing. So she's there right now. I don't know if it was live or filmed or anything, but like, go check out Lucy Mason, because that girl's going places.
Great. Now, you're on Spotify, right?
I am on Spotify.
Nice. Mm-hmm. See?
Yeah.
What channel? I just got Spotify yesterday.
Ooh, what do you think?
So I haven't. How do I find you?
Well, that's easy, my friend. Just look up Soph, S-O-F, but you'll know it's me because there's a little line through the O.
Right.
On a Windows computer, the shortcut is Alt, like hold down Alt and then type 0216. On a Mac, it's Control-Shift-O. And on your phone, if you hold down the O, if you have an iPhone, you hold down the O and scroll all the way to the left. It's the second one from the left, and it's like a little line through it. It's Swedish, I think.
See, I'll have to.
But I have all that memorized because people are like, how do you make that little like cool thing? How do you do that? And I'm like, had to figure it out.
It's the fancy O.
Yes, the fancy O. So
See, that is the
you're
glue that
looking-
holds us together right
Yeah,
there. That's
so-
why I turned to that man.
if you're looking, thank you. If you're looking, you can just you type in Soph, and I only have 2 singles up right now. I have Ghosts and Infinity.
Okay.
And my next single is coming out at the end of this month on March 27th, and it's called Shame on Me.
Let's talk about your new sound.
Sure.
You know, because I remember the young Sophia.
Yeah.
And now we have the older Soph.
Yes.
What made you change your because you kind of just said, you know what? One day you're like, you know what? I'm tired of being Sophia. I'm going to be Soph, and this is what it's going to sound like. And boom, you changed.
Pretty drastically, too.
Yeah, you went. It was like night and day.
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I was kind of this dainty, like singer-songwriter, like Taylor Swift inspired kind of artist. And my music really reflected that. And that was my personality. That was who I was. And all of my music was kind of just like, you know, sweet and like, oh, nice. And I had a couple songs that were just really, really sad because I was and I still am. I'm great at writing sad songs. Like that'll come out in like an instant. But it's a challenge to write something more upbeat and kind of fun. And it got to the point where I was really tired of writing sad songs, and I was tired of having this persona that was kind of like dainty and, you know, pretty and flowery. Like it's definitely a part of who I am because I do like, you know, girly kind of flowery things. But as I got to college, kind of found this persona that was more like blunt and edgy on stage, you know? And I really liked getting on stage and being really confident and kind of, you know, maybe writing songs with lyrics that I wouldn't say to somebody, you know, kind of using it as like a diary. Like I remember at the end of high school, I wrote a song about my ex-boyfriend that was like the start of Soph. Like that was pre-Soph, but that was like when Soph kind of started to shine through. And it was called Better Than You've Been. And the entire song is like a diss track to this guy and his new girlfriend. And I was like, yeah, screw you,
I remember
dude.
it
Yeah,
too.
you've heard that song.
Yep.
And the whole song is very sassy and it's like kind of out of character. And you're like, whoa, Soph, calm down. And I don't know, I guess I just really wanted to open that part up of myself more because I was writing songs about things that I would say to people in conversation, but I wanted to start writing songs about things that maybe my alter ego would say, the more confident, more sassy Sophia.
You know, it's when I first heard Ghosts, which you've debuted both of these singles on my radio program, on Rock On Radio. When I first heard Ghosts, I thought to myself, this is like really cool. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
like it was like Alanis Morissette met Sade, and you were like their love child. You know, and out came Soph.
Yeah.
And I actually had people contact. Have you heard Sophia's new? Have you heard? And I'm like,
awesome.
no, I haven't listened to it yet. And then you sent it to me, and I was like, wow. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
You know, because it's such a turnaround
Yeah.
for you. You know, and it's great. It's great, Nash. It's great stuff, man.
Great stuff.
It's great stuff. I don't understand why you're not listening to it right now.
I mean, I got 2 years at once of me.
Well, you know what, Nash?
You're slacking.
We're gonna talk about these though, bud, right here. On One More with Danny Coleman. That's right. We are sponsored in part by Antoinette Boulangerie. They specialize in creating delicate and sophisticated works of art using only the highest quality ingredients. Located at 32 Mama Street, which is right next door. They're a fully operational bakery with all of the baking done on premises daily. In addition to their handmade variety of croissants and Danish, Antoinette's also offers a dizzying array of traditional French pastries, macaroons, cookies, and savory treats. Find them at AntoinetteBoulangerie.com. And Boulangerie is BOULANGERIE. AntoinetteBoulangerie.com. And I want to thank them for providing the pastries and coffee for us here on
Thank
One More
you.
with Danny Coleman.
Thank you so much.
That's great. So you make this new sound.
Yeah, and it was also kind of inspired by artists that I'm listening to because
Okay.
my old stuff was more like not folky, but it had kind of more of a folky feel, like folky singer-songwriter, like more acoustic.
Right.
And I've always really loved the sound of bands and you know, kind of bigger sounding music, especially with the upbeat feel that I started to try to go for. And I listen to a lot of indie rock music, and I'm heavily influenced by it. But I also listen to a lot of like R&B and rap, and I kind of wanted to see if I could fuse the two and make this kind of like sassy.
Do you have a favorite indie artist? Who's your favorite indie artist? Besides Soph.
I listen to a lot of like I said, indie rock.
Okay.
I really love Young the Giant. They're one
Okay.
of my favorites. Two Door Cinema Club is another band. I'm naming all these bands that I don't know if you've ever even heard of, but
I'm hip to the indie scene.
all right. Oh.
Just not those.
Just
man.
not them, yeah. But I mean, also Arctic Monkeys, if you've ever heard of them.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and you know, Black Keys. There's a band I love called Saint Motel.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, and they've got some really cool
Those,
stuff
them.
of them. And I mean, even anybody from like, you know, that to like Coldplay, they have some really cool stuff too. Not saying that they're indie, but they've got some really cool songs, especially on their one album, Milo Xyloto. That was more kind of like indie rock feeling in terms of sound, but a lot of different bands, and I'm really inspired by them.
Now you've kind of branched out a little bit with various things over the 6 or 7 years I've known you. You've branched out. Who was that band that you were working with that did Under Pressure?
Oh, Kill the Fiction.
Kill the Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I hadn't seen the video. And I was reached out to, and so I said, "Did you hear Sophia's vocals on this tune? You got to check this out."
Danny, who are these people reaching out to you?
See? You don't know I have a far-reaching.
Yeah, what's happening?
Well, they know that we have, that we are connected in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
either through, the radio show or through music or,
Yeah.
or through the couple gigs. Now, Sophia and I actually got to share the stage with Ed Rowland from Collective Soul. We got to do some Collective Soul tunes, and you opened up
That was really cool.
for them guys that night, and
Really cool.
he was really cool, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like
Oh,
super
man.
nice.
In the middle of those songs, he's coming over talking to us. He's like, "You all right? You all right?"
How's
Yeah,
everybody
we're
doing?
good. Let's go.
It was awesome.
And I got to thank your mom because, like, Helen, whenever you post that video that you shot that night, she shot a video every now and then. Collective Soul puts it on their website, and like my friend requests on Facebook and radio show likes go through the roof.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny, but you've through all that's all helped you grow.
Yeah.
The covers, the originals, you've played my happy hours before. You're very diverse
Thank you.
in a lot of ways, but it does warm my heart to see you really, really pushing your original stuff now.
Yeah, it feels good. I wasn't really too keen on the stuff that I had before. It was very, especially the produced stuff, it seemed very Disney, and maybe at the time it was something that represented who I was, but since going to college and having a lot of things in my life change, my music kind of evolved with it. And it feels really good to put out music that I've not only like 100% written, and I wrote all of that in the past too, but I wrote it for myself and not for other people. Like, this is music that I just kind of sat down and was like, I'm feeling this way, and I know it sounds maybe a little too sassy, or maybe, this lyric is a little too bold, but I don't care. Like, this is how I feel. And it feels good to be putting that out and just being an honest artist and kind of experimenting with my sound a little bit too.
But it's serving you well. It's doing well for you. If you're just tuning in, clicking on, booting up, what do we call that, Nash? Tell me.
Sinking in.
Sinking in. There you go. If you
I don't know. I tried.
That's fine. See, the glue. I'm telling you.
You're the glue.
He's the glue.
You're the real glue.
This is One More Danny Coleman. I'm Danny Coleman. That is Soph. And we're discussing her music, her career, the start, the finish, the in-between, anything that we can think of here, actually.
Yeah.
When you decided, I want to record these, how did you choose the people that you worked with?
It was very easy,
Which
actually.
you were, what, Hellhound Studios?
Yeah.
Right? And then your producer is?
His name is Jerry Ramos, and
Okay.
he owns Mercury Recording Studios, which is directly situated inside of Hellhound Studios. Hellhound is a rehearsal studio, and as you kind of walk in, there's a little sign on the door for Mercury Recording Studios, and there's an entire whole studio in there. And Jerry works there, and he is just a friggin' genius. I mean, he was responsible for the Under Pressure cover, and that's how I met him originally. He recorded the sound for that, and he went in and mixed it in the studio. And then a few years later, I did a Sade cover, No Ordinary Love, and he recorded that as well. And we were talking one day, and he was like, hey, I don't know if you have any original music, but if you ever want to record, hit me up. And
you're like, oh, yeah, I got original music.
well, it was funny. He messaged me, and I don't know if I saw it and I just forgot to respond or something, but like a year passed and I didn't answer him. And I don't ever do that. I usually will be pretty okay with responding to people's messages, but I don't know what happened. I forgot, I guess. And I didn't have any music that I wanted to record at that time, and I was still kind of trying to figure myself out and who I wanted to be as an artist. And then like a year later, I was like, all right, I have this collection of songs that I really want to record, and I don't know who to go to. And I'm like thinking about, well, where can I go? And do I know anybody who's a producer? And I go to message him on Facebook because I'm thinking like, oh, Jerry did the Sade cover. Or that was actually before the Sade cover. He did just the Under Pressure cover. And I was like, oh, Jerry did that Under Pressure cover, and maybe he'd be interested. And I went to message him, and you go into your messages, and I see this long message from him that's like, hey, Sophia, I'd love to work with you if you have any original music. And I'm looking at it, and it's like from a year ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a jerk. Let me answer this. So I typed up this whole message like, I don't know what happened, but I either read this and just didn't answer, and I'm sorry, but I would love to record with you if you would still like to do that. And he was like, yeah, of course. He's really laid back and chill, and he's like the last person to be like, how dare you? So he was like, yeah, dude, come on in. And we recorded the Sade cover. And then in the process of recording that, we were also starting on one of my first songs. And we recorded, for a few months. And it started just going faster and faster because once I kind of communicated to him the sound that I was going for and how I wanted to portray myself as an artist, he kind of caught on and was like, oh, okay, I know exactly how I want to produce this. And each song has just been quicker than the last. I think the fastest one that we produced was in, 3 sessions. And it was Infinity, which was just released last month. But with the rest, it's kind of taken a few weeks worth of time, and we'll sit down and we'll kind of rehash it and go over it. But we sat down and I told him the idea that I had for Infinity. And he was like, oh, yeah, got it, no problem. And just produced it in like the one day, exactly the way that I was hearing it in my head. And I was like, yeah, like that. That's it. Yeah. So we got that done. And then the second session I came in, did the vocals, and the third session we mastered it, and it was done. Just like that.
And first of all, I have to thank you because I know usually You do Soph Music Monday.
Yes. And well, today is Soph Music Monday, and I wanted to have it on your show.
Well, I appreciate that. And when you go home, you can actually share this video. It'll be ready to, actually, by the time you probably get to your car, it'll be ready to post.
Wonderful.
Right?
I'll be on it. I have my phone, mobile, Facebook.
Beautiful.
Don't worry.
Now, you have to make sure you tell everybody, though, until Matt works his magic in the production, there will be probably about 5 minutes of just the OneMore with Danny Coleman insignia spinning. So they kind of have to fast forward through that till tomorrow when Matt puts the link up with the little edit in it. So
No problem.
but you do Soph Music Mondays.
I do.
And I remember when you did it first. Now, what are you doing? I'm from your dorm room at school, your apartment, or?
Yeah, I have been. The first batch, I think the first like 3 or 4 were in my room at home, and then winter break ended, and I went back to school, and then I started recording them from my room and in my apartment at school.
At school. And the very first one you did, by the time I got from here to the Parkway, which is 10 minutes down the road, you had like 2,000 views.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Kid, go for it, man. Good for you.
Thank you.
So, I mean, people are really... And that's not an exaggeration. She had over 2,000 views. People are really digging the Soph Music Mondays.
Yeah, it was actually an idea from one of my professors at school. He's been in the industry for a long time, and he was a manager for Estelle. You know the song "You'll Be My American Boy." Yeah, that's her.
No, I know the singer. I don't know the tune though.
Oh, well,
I'm old.
Oh, well, no big deal. But he was her manager.
No big deal that I'm old.
You're not old, Danny.
Helen, who is this kid?
You're not old.
No, you know it. You know I love you. You're about the only one to get away with that. So go ahead.
No, I think he still is her manager, but we were talking about some ideas that I could kind of utilize for social media and for promoting myself online. And he was like, you should do something like, I don't know, Soph Music Monday. And I was like, oh, that's good. And I wrote that down. And I started my first one, I think, a month later, because we were talking about it right before the new year. And it ended up working out great. I mean, it's been getting a lot of attention, and people are really nice, and they always leave comments, and they tune in, and they're not always live. I've had a few that were pre-recorded. I've had a few that were like vlogs. Like I did a studio vlog, and I talked about my experience in the studio and kind of showed some behind-the-scenes stuff. And then I've had a couple like just originals that were pre-recorded, a couple covers that were pre-recorded, and I've done just some live stuff. Like I had a live Q&A for one.
That was the most recent one.
I had 2. That was my second one. But nobody asked any questions, so it was more of just me talking to a camera. And I sang Shame on Me, which is coming out at the end of the month.
Right, that was Saturday.
Yeah, it was Soph Music Saturday, which in hindsight would have made more sense than Soph Music Monday. Like Soph Music Saturday flows so much better, or Soph Music Sunday even. But
Saturdays with Soph.
Yeah, even that. I don't know. I mean, hindsight's 2020.
Right.
But Soph Music Monday works, and people have taken a liking to it, which is really cool. And like I said, it was my professor's idea, and it ended up working out. And I'm taking a class with him right now called Artist Services, where you learn how to basically do artist development if you're working at a label. And he used me as an example in the class, like, yeah, you should focus on your social media, just like Soph over here, doing Soph Music Mondays. And I was like, oh, what? Me. It was cool.
Well, I started... I have what I call it the Rock on Fire pits, right? And now that I've actually played Ghost on the Rock on Fire pits.
No way.
Once I got it to work, yeah. I screwed up big time, Nash. So
it's okay.
See how it still has scarred me. And it all started because my buddy Jocko, who owns the ranch where I get a room.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the heck's this Facebook Live? I said, I don't know. I've noticed people are starting to do it. Mm-hmm. So he goes Facebook Live, and we're just sitting out back around. He's got a nice big fire pit, and we're back there, and I'm having a drink, and I got my music on my iPod. Mm-hmm. So these people start commenting on the video. Hey, what's that tune? That's good music. That's good. Who is that? What is that? And it's all, my iPod is littered with indie artists. So after about 5 minutes, he shuts it off. He's like, we need to have a rock on fire pit, and you could play all indie artists. I was like, that's a stroke of brilliance.
That's really good. Yeah.
So weather permitting, we've done several of them now. Our first one was Christmas Eve. Our next one was like New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow. Are you just doing them on Eves now?
On Eves, yeah. That's it. The Ides of March are coming up, so we'll do one on tomorrow. But, and we would... I've done several. I think 3 or 4 now.
Cool.
But I play indie artists, and it's like a real hip version of the Yule log. But you wouldn't know about the Yule log. But when your mom and I were kids, on Christmas Day they would put a picture of a fireplace, and the log was burning, the Yule log.
Okay.
And that was like on the TV sets. That's because everything was closed down. That's all you would.
Oh,
every time you tried to turn on television,
wow.
that's what you would watch on certain channels, right? So it's like, we got this huge fire pit. Jocko builds a bonfire the size of, Toledo, for God's sake. The
That's
space
awesome.
shuttle could have seen it when it was in service. And, I play indie artists. And I've used Soph. But ever since then, I got the idea, let's go live. So the first fire pit, actually it wasn't Christmas Eve. The first fire pit was sometime in October or November.
Okay.
The Williams boy, who was just on Rock on Radio last night, he was doing a gig at the Tiernanog that night. I said, hey, Billy, why don't you stop by here on your way? I'll give you a couple beers, and I'm trying to do this thing. And he went live. As soon as he went live, within like 15 minutes, I had over 300 views.
Wow. That's so cool.
Within 2 days, I had over 700. I'm like, all right, we got something going here.
Yeah.
So that is why I go Facebook Live before this program, before my radio program, and try to, and it works because you get.
It's a great platform.
It is.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the. I don't have much positive to say about Facebook because they haven't been real kind to me, but that I think is
You've
one
been
of
in Facebook jail, right? Yeah.
more times than I can count. I have 4,500 friends on Facebook. They only let me invite. One week it's 17, and next week it's 50. They always cut me off at 50.
That's so weird.
I don't know why. Probably because they want me to pay. I refuse to pay for social media. I don't care if it's $1.50.
Highway robbery.
What are your websites again? So,
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by just typing in the URL, facebook.com or youtube.com /SophMusicOfficial. And that's Soph, just S-O-F. And I feel like it's easier than Sophia Nicole because people always misspelled Sophia. It would always be with a PH. So hopefully we're good with Soph, but I don't know. People will still find a way. People always find a way, Danny.
I know.
Yeah, soap. Jesus. But it's Soph Music Official. And you can also find me on Twitter at Soph_music, and my website, which has all of those things right there for you to just click on the bottom of the website, is just sophmusic.com. It's Soph, S-O-F. And you can find me and listen to my stuff. I have my music up there. I have a press link to all of the articles that have been written about me recently, which is really cool. And I have videos, and I've got like an About Me page. Oh, check it out. You'll see for yourself. But it's sophmusic.com.
Now I'm going to take you back a little bit.
Okay.
To your very first time you ever sat down with me in a media setting. With my radio show, with Rock on Radio, I started on that AM station.
I
way
remember.
back in the woods at like the Branch Davidian compound there, that church compound, right? So at that point, when you came in, you had said to me that you had trouble with, sometimes you had trouble with classmates in school, in high school. Kind of, not necessarily picking on you, but kind of being not very complimentary because you were always wanting to perform. You wanted to be, and they kind of, I don't want to say mocked because that's not the word I'm looking for.
No, that's a good word.
But was it
Mocked
that
is
bad?
an okay word to use here, yeah.
And it's great because when I see things like what you did last week, and when I see you opening for Ed Roland in the Sweet Tea Project, or I see you on stage singing, Hallelujah with, Ari Hess and,
Yeah, and Dan Reed.
and Dan Reed.
That was a great day, too.
Right. And I see these things, and I think to myself, for them, because you actually, they may have mocked you, but you've actually followed through on your goals. And each day you get a step closer to being what you want to be. Now, do you ever sit back and look at that and think, ha?
I did about 3 years ago. I haven't really thought about it too much now because I'm about to be graduating college and I'm 21 and it's, I'm not like petty about that kind of stuff anymore because it's high school and I don't care. But I remember 3 years ago, it was my freshman year of college and I had the opportunity on The Voice. It was the summer of my freshman year. And I remember I went on Facebook after I posted about it because I had been kind of given a clear way to kind of pass. Or they told me that I could post about it basically after it aired. And the first episode aired, and then everybody who was on my season was allowed to post about their experience, but obviously, like, you can't really get too much into detail, but you can talk about, hey, I was on this season, or, hey, I'm supporting my friends on the season. And I basically just posted a status saying, hey, guys, just wanted to let you guys know I was on the season of The Voice, and a lot of my friends are, they got through, and they're absolutely amazing, and if you'd like to watch, I highly suggest it because, I would appreciate you supporting my friends as well as myself doing it. And immediately after that happened, I got messages from people that I had classes with in high school that made fun of me, that teased me, that mocked me behind my back. Messages from people, hey, I know we never really talked in high school, but I just saw a thing about The Voice that I thought that was so cool. Like, LOL, do you want to, like, hang out sometime? Or like, oh my God, I had no idea. And I was like, hey, dude, no, not interested. But thanks anyway. I really appreciate the kindness now. It only took you, 3 years. But thank you so much. It's really nice of you.
I laugh about that all the time because when I started writing for the local newspaper and got the radio show and people see some of my Facebook posts that I with that one or this one, all of a sudden, same thing. I get these people from high school who never had the time of day for me when we were in high school. Yo, dude, what's up, man? It's been like 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always been polite, and I'm not going to be, how you treat people reflects very much on the type of person you are. And I've always believed in being polite back if somebody's being polite. But it's just really funny to see that because people are like, oh, yeah, we had class together. I don't know if you remember me, but like we never really talked. And I'm thinking like, you made fun of me and like started a rumor about me. But all right, yeah, cool. We never really talked. Like, right. Hey, dude. I'm busy, but thanks so much. Like, weird.
Well, we're going to talk about right now the Red Bank All-Stars, the downtown Red Bank All-Stars. Yeah, that's it, the downtown All-Stars of Red Bank. They recently had their CD release party for their second charity disc, Magic on a Navasink, and that was, as I said, benefits the Red Bank Elks Lodge number 233 Veteran Support Programs. The Magic on a Navasink features original works by Colossal Street Jam, Dawn Hopkins, DJ Pinelli, John Hathaway, Medicated Pete from The Howard Stern Show, and many more. The Downtown All-Stars' first compilation disc, Bright Lights on Broad Street, was in support of Little Kids Rock, which provided free music, instruction, and instruments to underprivileged school children nationwide. The Downtown All-Stars of Red Bank is a collective of local musicians and performing artists that were bound together to raise both funds and awareness for charities and worthy causes through the immeasurable power of music. Go to redbankallstars.com or follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/redbankallstars. And it's a great charity. It's a great disc, actually. Everybody from Santa Ray to, like they said, Colossal Street Jam. There's Red Bank Blues Band. There's all kinds of great artists on there. And this talent pool in this area is so deep that it's just, it's beyond me how more of the people from this area that I've met over the last 10 years or so, how more of them are not more known or famous or pop star or whatever, you want to call it.
Yeah.
So what is it you want to be?
Huge.
Keep eating pastries.
No, I mean, I would ideally love to be a household name, but I mean, wouldn't anybody? I just really want to have a career in music that gives me a comfortable life and gives me a happy life, but I don't want to be too stressed out. I mean, that's kind of inevitable with the industry that I'm looking to get into. But
it's an ugly business. You know that.
Oh, it is. But ideally, for me at least, I just want to live a comfortable life. I want to be able to sustain myself and the family that I plan on having in the future. And I just want to be happy. And I want to be happy through music. I want people to hear my music and love it. And I want to reach like millions and billions of people. I mean, would be ideal. But yeah, I want people to hear my music. I want them to relate to it. I want to help people. And I want to have a good life. And whichever way that manifests, so be it. But if I can make it big, then that's really awesome.
Have you thought about, or has your producer talked to you about shopping any of your music around to like licensing agreements?
Yeah.
Radio or television, movies?
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that the other day. I was talking to him about how I would really love to get a publishing deal. And especially after being at the songwriting retreat last week, there was a lot of talk about publishing deals. Some of the songwriters there already had publishing deals, and it's a great gig to get into because as a writer, that's kind of where the revenue is in the industry. You don't really make a whole lot off of digital sales in terms of, if you're an artist, especially if you haven't written the songs. Your main source of income is going to be touring and merchandise. But if you're a writer, even writing for other people, publishing is everything. And
you can make money in your pajamas.
Yeah, and that would be, a hell of a job if I could just sit at home and write songs all day and send them off to the publishing company that I'm signed to or have them licensed for film and television. That's like great. Ideally, I'd want to be the artist that I'm writing for, but I also know that there are artists like Sia who write for other artists and have made an incredible living off of that. And I would love that. And I love writing music anyway, so it would be kind of a dream come true if I could do it for myself too.
Right, that would be fantastic if you could do that. This retreat couldn't have come along at a better time for you because I know that you were struggling a little bit with writer's block.
Yeah, I was. I hadn't written anything for, I think the last song I wrote was like a year ago. It's been a really long time, and I wrote like 3 songs while I was there, and I have one that I'm still working on that I finished the music and the melody for. I just need lyrics, and I need to sit down with that, and I can probably work that out in like a day and have 4 songs ready to go, which is really cool. Like from not writing anything for an entire year to having 4 songs in 5 days, that's pretty good.
Yeah?
Feels pretty great.
now co-writing, because you've only written...
I've dabbled in co-writing. I've done it a couple of times. I've also been fortunate enough to write with some friends, and they'll kind of offer up ideas, but it's never like a true co-write where all parties are equally participating. So it was nice to actually sit down with 2 other people who had a fair amount of lyrics and melody to contribute, and it wasn't just all on me or it wasn't just all on one person. It was split up very evenly, and it felt really good because I thought maybe I wouldn't be the best person to co-write with. I was kind of afraid that I was going to be the person in the room that was trying to take charge of everything because I get really passionate when I'm writing a song and I have an idea and I'm like, no, gotta tread this way. I can only see straight. I've got my blinders on, but it was kind of cool to be grounded in the aspect of having other people say, hey, how about this idea? And then I'd hear it and I'd be like, oh, right, you guys are professional songwriters. Right. You do this for a living. Of course that idea is really good. And yeah, I would love to go off of what you're thinking instead of what I was thinking. And it's cool having another opinion because you're not completely focused in on just one thing, because you kind of get attached to an idea and you're like, that's my baby. But hearing other people contribute. A lot of people can't
relinquish that control.
Yeah, hearing other people contribute with really, really good input helps a lot. Right. So it was nice to have that. I felt very equal amongst everybody. Like everybody had something really good to contribute, and it wasn't just about me or it wasn't just about somebody else. It was very divided up evenly. So it was cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's all part of also too of the maturity process. As you mature in this business, and as a person, you learn to realize that you
have to work with other people.
The blinders aren't always necessary. That's why one of the questions I always ask bans people like our good buddy Charles Larita. Is this a dictatorship or a democracy? Now, in Charles' case, it's pretty much a dictatorship. He writes the horn parts, he writes the music. Then he says to them, guys, this is what I want. What can you do to help me improve it? You know. But then there are others where it's a democracy where they'll come down as a band and say, you know, here's a tune I wrote. What do you have, bass player? What do you have, drummer? What do you have, rhythm guy? What you know, and you work that way.
Yeah.
I've worked with songwriters who, like you said, it's their baby. And if you try to offer a suggestion, they look at you, you know, like, get away, you know. And then I go in a corner and drink Jack Daniels, you know. But then I've worked with other ones who are like totally open to suggestions. Currently, I'm working with Matt Scuteri, and you know, he's putting together stuff for another disc. And he's very open to his bandmates' ideas and trying things. And even if he doesn't like it, at least you try it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Well, you know, and you work on it. You know, not everybody's like that. You know, but now you met with strangers, so you kind of, you know, you were kind of forced. To say I gotta make this work, right? You had to play nice.
But you know, I'll tell you what. By the end of the week, everybody knew each other's names. Everybody knew, you know, a lot of personal information about each other too, because a lot of what the retreat was about was being vulnerable and opening yourself up to possibly failing. And one thing that Judy stressed was just to be honest with yourself and to allow your emotions to fly kind of freely. And we had the morning yoga sessions. We had lectures that she would give us assignments for, where she would say, you know, write down 10 things that you love about yourself and write down 10 things that you hate about yourself. And we'd be like, oh, okay. And everybody's answers would be kind of the same. Everybody was leaning toward the, you know, not feeling good enough, being self-conscious aspect of the negative parts of yourself. And she was talking about how, you know, everybody has a story and everybody tells themselves a story, and you can change that story at any point. But if you keep telling yourself over and over again the same story, that I'm not good enough, that I'm, you know, maybe insecure, maybe you're the type of person that won't allow somebody else to take the reins, maybe for a co-writing project. And she said you kind of just have to write yourself a different story and tell yourself, no, I'm a confident person and I work well with others. And you know, I feel good about my craft, and I will always want to hone it, but you just need to tell yourself, kind of like fake it till you make it. You kind of just have to tell yourself, this is who I am, and this is how.
Fake it till you make it.
Basically, you know, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be, and that's it.
It's funny that you say that, because last night, prior to me going on the air, I heard the Williams boy was saying something about, you know, those guys are so much better than me. And the woman who was sitting on the couch in the studio, she turned, she says, why do all musicians do that? You know, why do they say, I'm not good enough? They always feel like they're never good enough.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, I said, well, because in this business, there's always somebody better. Mm-hmm. And the only way you get to that next level is by playing with those who are better.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, if you're going to play in a garage band with guys that are all self-taught or girls that are all self-taught and they don't try to get any better than playing the same 4 or 5 chords, then you're not going to grow as a musician.
Right.
You know?
That's true.
Now, when you used to go to the open mics at like McGillicuddy's and the Wonder Bar and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, you were forced. You were with a lot of good company.
Yeah.
Not that you ever really played with that many people there, but you were around a lot of experienced, quality musicians. Mm-hmm. You know, and I watched you as lack of a better term, as a kid, grow every time you came to an open mic, and it's great. You know, and then I look at our friend Taylor Tote. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first time she ever did that open mic at the Wonder Bar, Cook took me outside. He's like, Danny Danny, he's your drummer. I'll see you. And he walked away. That's how the whole conversation went.
Yeah.
And you know, she's like, do you know Adele? And I'm like, Yeah, because my daughter just had me listening to it. You know,
Oh, okay.
because she's your age, and I'm like, okay, and we performed together, but then from that point on, I watched her grow as well.
Yeah.
And it's because you guys started performing around and with better players.
Yeah, it's true.
And it kind of forces you. Like when you went to college, I remember when you first went to college and you were doing something at the, like the professor's something, what was it called?
Oh, Prof's Place.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the food court area that you can in the student center, and they have open mics / like featured artist nights, and they have anywhere from like I think 7 to 10 musicians that sign up beforehand. They come in and they sing like 2 or 3 songs. And I started off doing that because it was the only performance opportunity I had at my school at the time. And I would come in, and that was when I first kind of started experimenting with my sound and kind of changing things up. And I came in the first time, and it was just this room full of people, and they're all eating and hanging out. And I got on stage, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm Sophia, and this first one is by Dr. Dre," and then just started rapping, and everyone was like, "What's going on?" and it got a really great response, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe I should kind of keep going with this." And I haven't done one actually in a really long time, but
that right there, you're at school, basically by yourself, because when you were younger, before you could drive, your mom would bring you to the open mics.
That's right.
Or your dad, and here you are now. You're at school, still can't drive,
No,
but you're
I can
at school.
drive. I can
Well, you
drive.
can now,
I have my car,
but then
yeah.
you couldn't.
Yeah.
When you were a freshman.
Yeah.
So. Or you could, huh? Wait, when you were a freshman.
I just didn't have a car
You didn't have
when
a
I
car,
was a
right.
freshman.
So you can't. You're not. You're there in a room full of strangers, and it takes guts to get up and perform, especially if it's just you and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And it takes the guts to do that. But by doing that, you may not realize it. But if you look back now, you grew
Oh yeah.
by bounds doing something as simple as that, because now you're like, hey, I might have something here.
Yeah.
Because people were digging what you were doing. They were liking what was going on.
Yeah.
Gives you that confidence, gives you that sense of, hey, I am pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. I'm not afraid to do this. I'm not afraid to do that. So it's really great. And then, like I said, some of the things, the people that you performed with in those
I've been very fortunate.
those candlelight concerts,
Yes.
and beyond that were, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's experiences as a teenager that you had, that some people never get to do in their life.
That's crazy to think about
Isn't
too. That's so weird.
Right?
But so cool. Like like I said, I was very fortunate in that aspect.
I have a buddy who's a professional drummer. He's got a PhD in music.
Wow.
He teaches at Bucks County Community College. He's an adjunct professor at Princeton. He plays the vibes. He plays the drums. He's and best drummer I've ever seen, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. His main gig, his main band that he tours with are the Supremes. Whenever they go out on the road,
Oh,
he goes out
wow.
with them.
No big deal.
So I said to him, I
Supremes.
said, how did you do that, man? I said, here's a guy that's recorded with Tony Bennett, Nora Jones. How did you do that?
Yeah.
He says, Danny, you could do what I do. Just ask. I was like, yeah, well, you're far more talented than I am. He said, so you practice. He's just real like, but he's, he says, you can do, all you have to do is put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You put yourself out there, and eventually somebody is going to notice.
Too true.
And you're putting yourself out there, and that's what's great, And it's just it always warms my heart, Nash.
Warm your heart up.
Warms my heart up, just like this coffee from Antoinette Boulangerie. See?
Warms the heart up.
You like that shameless plug, Tom? I heard
was-
that chuckle over there.
It's really good.
It is good
That was-
coffee.
No,
isn't it?
that plug was
Oh,
really.
you like the way
it
I
was
worked that in? Or you're
seamless.
drinking water, though, I
I'm
think.
drinking water.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
drinking
not a
coffee.
coffee drinker,
That's
but
okay.
if I was, I would be enjoying it from.
Antoinette Boulangerie.
Yeah, Antoinette Boulangerie.
Correct. See?
Indeed.
Can you say that like your grandmother and grandfather?
Antoinette Boulangerie. They're from
funny.
Soviet Russia,
See?
so that's how they sound.
They sound that way?
Yeah,
Can you say moose and squirrel?
moose and squirrel.
That's perfect, Helen. That's perfect. Rocky and Bullwinkle. We must get the moose and squirrel. Well, we're gonna get it's over.
It's over.
The hour's over.
Well,
It's sofer.
I have to say one thing.
Go
if
ahead.
it's cool with you, I've got a show coming up.
Oh yeah, plug it.
It is the Lantern Fest in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's right.
I am
forgot
the
about that.
opener, which is really damn cool. I'm very excited about it. And that's going to be on June 10th. So if you're not doing anything, feel free to come on over to that. But I'm really, really excited about it.
Where at in Philadelphia?
It is.
Is it
Good
at Fairmount Park, or-
question. I don't know. More details to be announced.
Details to follow. Go to sofmusic.com.
It should be up on my website. I have all of the ticket information, and you can get a discounted ticket with my promo code, which I will post on Facebook because I have it in an email and I don't have it off the top of my head. But I have a promo code, and you can get discounted tickets. And like I said, June 10th, Lantern Fest. Pretty cool. And I'll hopefully see you there. So, yeah.
And again, your websites?
Just go to sofmusic.com, sofmusic.com, and you can find my Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, all of that stuff. My handle on most things, with the exception of Twitter, is Soph Music Official, and Twitter's the only one that's different because I couldn't secure Soph Music, and it's just Soph_music, and you can check me out there. And I'm getting a lot of Twitter follows recently, so maybe you can follow me on
good.
Twitter and we can chat.
That's beautiful.
I'll slide into your DMs.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Monmouth music.
Go ahead.
And you're going to get ready to play for us.
Sounds great.
So we're going to move on over here. You're going to
right.
move on over there. I'm going to take this with me. And I'm going to come over here and see Tom. How are you, Tom?
Where are you?
Beautiful. Established in 1987, Monmouth Music is located in the center of historic Red Bank, New Jersey. For 30 years, Monmouth Music has served the local and traveling musician with brand name instruments and accessories at everyday low prices. Monmouth Music also welcomes aspiring musicians of all levels with a broad selection of affordable instruments, including school orchestra instruments for both sale and rental. Monmouth Music provides lessons of all levels by their long-tenured music teaching staff. In addition to providing brand name instruments and complete lesson plans, Monmouth Music is home to Bob Pinto's Guitar Hospital, specializing in string instrument repairs. And there's also an in-house professional amplifier repair service by BP Electronics. Monmouth Music is owner-operated, which ensures you'll get a professional and personal service every day. Come to Red Bank, New Jersey, and visit Monmouth Music. Make the trip. You won't be disappointed. And I want to, as I always do, I want to thank Mario for allowing us to set up shop. Mario's a real trooper. He's in here despite his feeling under the weather tonight. And we're going to give you, right now, Soph.
So I think it's only fair that I play the singles that I've released thus far. And this first one, which was released in January, and you can listen to on SoundCloud, Facebook. Well, yeah, I put it up on Facebook to stream. YouTube, and SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, etc. You can listen to it there. And yeah, it's called Ghosts. Cigarette stained kiss with the breath to match. Smokes 2 packs a day. I'd say she's quite the catch. Small frame, brittle bone. She's got ink in her skin. I wonder how much of you she mindlessly let in. And I've given it some thought where I'd say aloud. Ask her how she's been, how she's doing now. Does she recall your vivid silhouette? 'Cause I know that I haven't, I won't ever forget. Think of all the ghosts, think of all the ghosts. The ones who are still here haunt you the most. Think of all the flames that burned out for days, but I still felt the fire in my veins. Ooh, oh, you think you know me, but you don't. You think I won't leave this alone, but I'm about to prove you wrong. Oh, oh, oh. You think the past is all I know. You think I'm scared of all the ghosts, but now it's time to let them go. Well, it's true, I do have a few of my own, but I've shaken them loose to find a better home. It's never the dead that make any lines unclear. It's the walking reminiscence, it's the living that you fear. You think you know me, but you don't. You think I won't leave this alone, but I'm about to prove you wrong. Oh, oh, oh. You think the past is all I know. You think I'm scared of all the ghosts, but now it's time to let them go. Think of all the ghosts, think of all the ghosts. The ones who are still here haunt you the most. Think of all the pain that will it all away. If you're still holding on, then you're to blame. But you think you know me, but you don't. You think I won't leave this alone, but I'm about to prove you wrong. Oh, oh, oh. You think the past is all I know. You think I'm scared of all the ghosts, but now it's time to let them go. You think you know me, but you don't. You think I won't leave this alone, but I'm about to prove you wrong. Oh, oh, oh. You think the past is all I know. You think I'm scared of all the ghosts, and now it's time to let them go.
Nice.
Thank you. This next one I released last month, and it's called Infinity. And it's a love song. We're tangled up on a Sunday morning. Don't know where my skin ends, yours begins. Now it's 6 a.m. and all birds are chirping. We're awake to say I love you again and again. Promise me one single thing, that time is not an entity. Our love won't face mortality. Our love will live past you and me. I'm out of breath, quickly sinking, but you have a way of making pain and ease. Your starry eyes will always be time
get there someday. Please promise me one thing, we'll call that place infinity. Please meet me in infinity. You can also find that one on, thank you so much. You can also find that one on iTunes and Spotify. Danny?
Beautiful. There we go. All right. Where are we at, Nash? Here or there? Which camera? Because half the time I look at that one, we're over there. There we go. Thank you, Matt. Sophia, thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks so much for having me.
So it's always a pleasure. It takes me. I take great pride in watching you as an artist. I always have. You know that. And why does your kid do this to me all the time, Helen? But I wish you luck. And again, it's sofmusic.com,
Yes,
right?
it is.
sofmusic.com. Next week, we have Jen Hamilton, right? Jen Hamilton is one of the violinists in Wizards of Winter, and she is a local artist, and she will be in here next Monday night, right here on the Carousel Arts YouTube channel. So until then, remember, one more. There you go.